Paid announcement by the Jamaica Labour Party.
The whole world's in a crisis. The pandemic back us all into a corner. Yeah, but we have a strong leader. Borders closed, businesses shut down. Andrew Holness, no one never back down. Put Jamaica on top now, yeah. Let's give thanks to the workers, health and security persons.
Darkest hours we face, but in God we put our faith.
We can do it together, together. Stay unified, and I know things will be better, better.
With Andrew Holness as our leader, we do it
Together, together. Stay on this path, and I know things will be better, better. Stay on this path, and I know things will be better.
The proceeding was a paid announcement by the Jamaica Labour Party. The following is a paid announcement by the Jamaica Labour Party.
The whole world's in a crisis. The pandemic back us all into a corner. Yeah, but we have a strong leader. He and the team will help us carry on now. Look all over the world, schools are on lockdown. Borders closed, businesses shut down. Andrew Holness, no one never back down. Put Jamaica on top now, yeah. Let's give thanks to the workers, health and security persons.
Darkest hours we face, but in God we put our faith.
We can do it together, together. Stay unified, and I know things will be better, better.
With Andrew Holness as our leader, we do it
Together, together. Stay on this path, and I know things will be better, better. Stay on this path, and I know things will be better.
The proceeding was a paid announcement by the Jamaica Labour Party. The following is a paid announcement by the Jamaica Labour Party.
The whole world's in a crisis. The pandemic back us all into a corner. Yeah, but we have a strong leader. He and the team will help us carry on now. Look all over the world, schools are on lockdown. Borders closed, businesses shut down. Andrew Holness, no one never back down. Put Jamaica on top now, yeah. Let's give thanks to the workers, health and security persons.
Darkest hours we face, but in God we put our faith.
We can do it together, together. Stay unified, and I know things will be better, better.
With Andrew Holness as our leader, we do it
Together, together. Stay on this path, and I know things will be better, better. Stay on this path, and I know things will be better.
The proceeding The following is a paid announcement by the Jamaica Labour Party.
The whole world's in a crisis. The pandemic back us all into a corner. Yeah, but we have a strong leader. He and the team will help us carry on now. Look all over the world, schools are on lockdown. Borders closed, businesses shut down. Andrew Holness, no one never back down. Put Jamaica on top now, yeah. Let's give thanks to the workers, health and security persons.
Darkest hours we face, but in God we put our faith.
We can do it together, together.
proceeding was a paid announcement by the Jamaica Labour Party.
Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Good morning to the members of the media. Welcome to our virtual launch of the JLP's Election Manifesto 2020. We regard our manifesto as a solemn pledge between the Jamaica Labour Party and the people of Jamaica. Unlike others, which is loaded with unrealistic promises, our 2020 election manifesto is realistic and practical. Our manifesto is a roadmap to prosperity, a roadmap to a stronger Jamaica, a roadmap to a Jamaica which will make us all stand proud as Jamaicans. As we did in 2011, when we made a solemn pledge then in our manifesto, we once again express our solemn pledge as we outline the plans the Jamaica Labour Party has to continue to provide excellent stewardship to Jamaica through this most difficult world crisis. The worst is over. The worst in over 100 years, and how we plan to build back Jamaica stronger. With me this morning, our Prime Minister, the Most Honorable Andrew Holness, and the JLP's campaign spokesperson, Dr. Nigel Clark, and Mrs. Kamina Johnson-Smith. I am Olivia Babsy-Grange, campaign chair. The team will first give a brief overview of the manifesto, after which we will invite questions from the media as well as from the general public. First, we will now have our Prime Minister, the Honorable Brogard Andrew Michael Holness. Thank you. Prime Minister.
Thank you, Minister Grange. I did know that you knew that terminology that is being applied to me. Yes, that is the name which I'm hearing when I travel throughout the country. And I was asked once, what does that name mean? And it actually does have a meaning. It means closer than a brother. That's right. And I feel very honored to be considered in that light by the people of Jamaica. And I do try as much as I can to be faithful to that name and to be like your brother, to work in your favor all the time. So, thank you, Minister Grange, Chairman of the Jamaica Labour Party campaign committee. And also with us is Dr. Nigel Clark and I'm going to say Minister Kamina Johnson-Smith. But since we are not in our official roles, I will just say Kamina. It's hard to separate because you have, in the last 4.5 years, personified the roles. So I'm certain that when people see you in the supermarket, they do say Minister Johnson-Smith, even when you are not in your official role. And that's because of how well you have conducted yourself. I am, just for convenience, going to temporarily remove my mask and use the opportunity to say that you should wear your masks always when you are in public, and it is a good idea to wear it in environments in which you are uncertain. So, I'm extremely pleased and proud to launch the Jamaica Labour Party's manifesto for the upcoming election. 4.5 years ago, which seems like just like yesterday, the people of Jamaica put their trust in us to move the country from poverty to prosperity. We have worked tirelessly to honor this mandate and deliver on the commitments that we made in our last manifesto. The very first section of this manifesto outlines a number of achievements and shows how we have delivered against the 2016 manifesto. We have worked in partnership with the Jamaican people to deliver on our commitments and establish an enviable track record of achievements. Our record is clear and our successes are undeniable. I think this would be probably the first time in the history of our country that there is a government that can campaign wholly and solely on achievements. We could have conducted a campaign wholly and solely on what we have achieved. It is against this background of achievement and success that we seek a renewed mandate from the people of Jamaica to continue to build a stronger future for all Jamaicans, young and not so young, rural and urban, employees and employers, families and communities. As a result of the COVID-19 pandemic, Jamaica faces one of the most significant challenges in our history as an independent nation. The pandemic is the most serious health crisis the world has faced in 100 years, and it has unleashed the worst global economic crisis since the Great Depression 90 years ago. Like almost every country in the world, Jamaica has been significantly impacted, and the pandemic has set us back. Our management of this crisis over the last 6 months, however, compares favorably with several advanced countries, and in terms of protecting lives of our citizens and protecting the livelihoods of our citizens, Jamaica is comparable with top performers like New Zealand, Singapore, and South Korea, who proactively implemented, well, we in Jamaica have proactively implemented the CARE program to cushion the economic impact of the pandemic on the most vulnerable Jamaicans, and we've done that in record time. And I was just reflecting on this point because as I traveled around the country, the economic crisis is not yet visible. And this is primarily because of the swift response of the government with our interventions of various support programs, whether it is the Best Cash or the Minister of Finance, Dr. Clark, the Compassionate Grant will tell you all about these programs. But that very timely and swift intervention has cushioned the economic impact for the most vulnerable in the society. And that has placed us in good company in terms of countries that have done well. And we have been recognized for this internationally. We were able to do this as a result of the strong platform of economic and fiscal stability that we had built before. We have placed Jamaica in a better position to overcome challenges. In our present reality of a pandemic, we have been transparent. And in managing crisis, sometimes leaders may be tempted to manage information. Leaders may sometimes feel that they should be very careful in what they release and what they don't release. We have taken a very open and transparent approach. We have taken the position that the Jamaican people are the best judge to determine what to do with the information. Our job is to get the information to them in a timely way. So just in terms of information management, there's no question that we have been very transparent and very consistent in the provision of information. And what that has done, it has created an atmosphere in which, for the first time in a long while, people can have trust in the government, have trust in what the government says it has done and what it will do. And that trust is the most important political capital that any political organization could seek to have, the trust of the people. And so we must do everything to guard that trust, including what we say we're going to do in a campaign, including the promises and commitments that we make. Because if we go ahead and make outlandish promises and outlandish commitments in our manifesto, the question will come back to haunt us. Can the people trust what we say? So, if you put our track record together with how we have managed this crisis, communicating with the people, providing information, being consistent in how we apply our rules, and providing consistent communication, all of that together, the track record plus how we have operated, has built significant political trust capital. And that capital, our government intends to protect. And we intend to protect that and to project that in a manifesto that, by definition, has to be ambitious. You can't underwhelm in a manifesto, but you don't go overwhelming in a manifesto, particularly in the context of a crisis. So we have struggled long and hard to resist the temptation of coming out with wild and unrealistic promises. We have, however, still provided the ambition. We have provided the aspiration, something that you can hold on to that is directional, but something that you know is practical, it's realistic, it's achievable, it's doable, and it is the right thing to do given the overarching context of the worst health pandemic in 100 years and the worst economic crisis that is unfolding before us since the Great Depression. So I want those two considerations to be factored in to the evaluation of manifestos. So a new JLP administration will ensure accountable government that promotes unity and partnership while faithfully serving all Jamaicans. Our ambitious agenda going forward will be focused on recovering stronger and ensuring that our economic output is restored to pre-COVID levels in the shortest period of time, and that our recovered economy is more diversified and even more resilient. Our ambition going forward is to ensure that all Jamaicans are working again at the same record levels or even better through a consistent and cross-cutting drive for job creation while supporting elements of innovation, training, and apprenticeship. We want to transform our education system to provide our children with access to quality education, quality care, and quality training, particularly in the STEM areas. We want to give our children the best start in life. And we are investing in our people so that they can realize their full potential. We're building a safe, secure, and just Jamaica, a safe, secure, and just society. And I know that this is the dream and aspiration of all Jamaicans. We are also looking at enabling and empowering all Jamaicans through the provision of national identification, access to internet, and more effective and simplified delivery of services using technology. But as we look at all these things, we must never forget that we still have absolute poverty in Jamaica. And this government, though we are striving for prosperity, we will leave no one behind. That is a commitment that I have made to the people of Jamaica, a commitment passed down from the leaders of this party, from Bustamante right through to Edward Seaga, to Bruce Golding, and now to me. Never forget the poor. So in all the glorious things we plan to do, the most glorious is to ensure that we take more people out of poverty. And indeed, it still remains my own personal aspiration to eliminate absolute poverty in the land. And we have done that in our 4.5 years. When you look at the outturn, Minister Clark, from the survey of living conditions, and see the dramatic reduction that we were able to achieve in poverty. It can be done. The pandemic has, of course, set us back, but we are putting our train on track again, and this time we will go full speed ahead towards the journey and destination of prosperity for all, leaving no one behind. So we're going to support our most vulnerable by strengthening the social safety net. And there are some very interesting things in the manifesto. I urge you to read them. Yesterday I had a press conference, and I pointed out that a feature of this government is resilience. For the first time, you have a government that is able to handle not just one crisis, but several crises, and recover. I got a WhatsApp from someone, random, I don't know who the person is, and it said, Prime Minister, I thought I would just say with you that I feel safe. It was a compliment, the highest compliment that could be paid to me, for someone to say that they feel safe with my administration. And she was pointing out that with the outbreak that was happening, and then the heavy rains, and all the issues, she said that when I addressed yesterday at the press conference, she felt safe. Reassuring. It's very important that you have a government that can reassure you, because the emerging trends now is that the global economy, our environment, will have shocks. You're going to have commodity price shocks. You're going to have financial crisis shocks. You're going to have shocks that come from weather events, and you're going to have health shocks. And these are going to be a feature of the future. So governments have to be able to withstand shocks, recover from them quickly, and move ahead. To do that, it takes a government that is planning in advance, and a government that can put in place the right policy and consistently maintain them. I didn't mention social shocks as well, but you will see that you also have to manage the social dynamics, the social justice issues that arise in your society. So I think in general, we have done that fairly well, and we have shown that we are a resilient government, being able, unlike previous governments, to handle several different crises all at once and do them well. This is not to say that we are not stretched. This is not to say that, you know, if you are overwhelmed, you could face difficulties. But the truth is, and I think all Jamaicans will agree, all the shocks that we have faced, we have managed them very well. And for this election and from our manifesto, you will see that our strategy is to get over the elections very quickly so that it does not become a distraction to what we need to do to continue on the road to prosperity. And at the same time, to put forward to you a new agenda, an agenda that is ambitious, that is aspirational, but which takes into account the context of the pandemic and the economic crisis. So we have also, in the spirit of resilience, this government has taken very instrumental and a proactive approach to dealing with climate issues. And we have not just taken action locally, but this administration has been featured more than any other administration in the global context of climate change. And we have done some really impressive things to protect our environment and to play our part in dealing with the climate change issues. So what it comes down to, ladies and gentlemen, is that we have presented to you a comprehensive documentation of our achievements. They are unassailable, they are undeniable. It is not presented for bragging rights. It is presented for your consideration. And even if you are a partisan, there comes a point in time when you have to set aside your partisan allegiance and look at the facts. And so we have presented you with facts, and we ask that you look at them objectively, remove partisan filters, and consider them objectively. Then we have presented a recovery plan. The recovery plan is more of a tactical document. What are the things that we need to do now to get our economy back on track, to get our economy to the point where it was pre-COVID, and then to launch. And then we have presented now a manifesto, which shows you what the next 5 years could be like in terms of what we're going to do to address issues of poverty, address the social justice issues, address health care, and all the areas of the society which Minister Clark and Minister Johnson Smith will tell you more about. So we have taken a very practical and strategic approach. Others have just come with a bag of promise, and they ask you to dip your hand in the bag and pick something out. You might get lucky, as well as you may not get lucky. We have come to you with open books. We have come to you with our record of performance. We have come to you to show you what we intend to do now to recover the economy and recover stronger. And then we show you what the next 5 years will be under the Jamaica Labour Party government. My last comment regarding manifestos, and I've seen a few, and in preparing for this, and by the way, before I make my final comment, let me thank the Manifesto Committee of the Jamaica Labour Party. Let me thank Minister Johnson Smith, who chaired it, and supported by Minister Nigel Clark, who worked directly with Minister Johnson Smith, but who worked himself directly on the economic recovery elements. Both have done an amazing job with a team around them to have prepared this document. I've heard criticisms about, the manifestos taking, why our manifesto didn't come out. These are strategic decisions. We had more to present, and we just didn't want to crowd what we had to present. So we had the achievements which we need to seep into the minds of people. We had our economic recovery program, which needs its own space and attention. And then we have our manifesto, which needs its own space and attention. And it is a well thought out document. So I want to again thank the Manifesto Committee and the team of Minister Johnson Smith and Minister Clark. But my final comment, I've looked at many manifestos, and there are many strategies to present manifestos. You can present a sectoral manifesto where you give something to everyone. You can present an aspirational manifesto where you promise all the things that people want. Or you can give a considered manifesto where you present what you know you can achieve. But if you're going to consider any manifesto, you must bear in mind one thing. What will the promise or commitment cost you, the voter? So, when you pick up a manifesto and you see that you will get from the government something, you must ask yourself, question number one, what will it cost me to get this? And question number two, if I get this, what will it cost someone else? Because the presentation of manifestos are often disconnected from the budget necessary to deliver the manifesto. So you as the voter, every time you get a manifesto, must ask yourself, what is the cost of it? But in a more detailed way, what will it cost me in taxes? And if it is that it is going to have a cost, well, who's going to pay it? Is it going to be someone else who's going to pay for it? Will there be a redistribution as a result of the promises? These are all very important questions that the electorate must pay attention to. So yes, manifestos can't be underwhelming. They can't be unambitious, but they must also be realistic. They must be within the scope of the fiscal commitments which were signed off on by both political parties. They must never put at peril the sacrifice that this country has made to achieve fiscal stability. So, as we go about our electioneering and making promises, I wish for the electorate to pay close attention to the manifesto that is more realistic and in keeping with the current context, the commitments that we have made to fiscal discipline, and to ensuring stability and growth. I am confident that the manifesto that we have presented does that. It is ambitious, it is aspirational, it is realistic, and it provides a good and clear pathway to recovery and prosperity for all Jamaicans. God bless you.
Good morning, all. I'll just remove my mask, as the Prime Minister says, temporarily. As the Prime Minister just mentioned, we launch our manifesto in the context of the worst global health and economic crisis in our lifetimes. We believe that the people of Jamaica want a government that they can trust, that you can trust, to deliver and lead Jamaica to a strong and quick recovery. in the shortest possible time. It is for that reason that recovery is at the centerpiece of our manifesto. And we have a 10-point recovery plan. The first of those 10 points is to, and even before going into the 10 points, countries around the world have had to revise their forecasts given the intensity and duration of the pandemic. And even here in Jamaica, the Planning Institute of Jamaica has revised its forecast given the economic impact of the health measures that we have had to impose to protect the lives of Jamaicans. The Planning Institute is forecasting that for this year, we could have a contraction of 9 or 10%. And it is for that reason that we center our manifesto on recovery. The first aspect of our 10-point recovery plan is to maintain macroeconomic stability through this crisis. And that is absolutely crucial because, as the Prime Minister mentioned, we are intent on preserving the gains in the reduction of poverty that we have achieved. We are intent on preserving those gains and advancing the reduction of poverty even further during this crisis. To do so, it will be crucial that we maintain stability, low inflation, adequate reserves, a sustainable and credible fiscal path, as well as financial sector stability. To do so, we recommit to strengthen and build the institutions that safeguard our stability. We will implement a fiscal council. We will bring operational independence to the central bank. And we will provide greater protection against the financial and the fiscal risks of natural disaster. The second component of our recovery plan involves providing financial and economic support to ensure that our recovery is fast and swift. It will be necessary to preserve productive capacity so that we can keep the most number of persons employed and we can catalyze the re-employment of those who have been affected. Towards this end, we will be providing $500 million of grant support to micro and community-based businesses. These are businesses on the corner in every single community of Jamaica. Through the Social Development Commission, $500 million of grants will be provided to these community-based businesses. We will be rolling out the $1.2 billion of grants to small tourism operators to ensure that their productive capacity is maintained and they can recover stronger. We will be providing $1 billion of support to farmers and fishermen for each of the next 3 years. That's $3 billion of support to small farmers and fishermen to ensure that the rural economy is maintained and that rural development continues even in spite of this pandemic. We will provide $10 billion of loan guarantee support to small and medium-sized enterprises through the Development Bank of Jamaica. By providing $10 billion of loan guarantee support, we will ensure that the productive capacity of our thousands of small and medium-sized businesses is maintained throughout this crisis. We will catalyze the emergence of a $20 billion public-private COVID recovery equity fund. This $20 billion COVID recovery equity fund will be capitalized or seeded with a $5 billion investment from the government, and we will work with institutional investors and pension funds, life insurance companies in the private sector for the remainder of the capitalization. This fund or series of funds will be managed by the private sector and it will invest equity and quasi-equity securities in firms and companies that have been affected by the COVID pandemic, allowing us to retain the highest levels of employment that are possible and allowing for those who have been affected to regain employment as companies are rehabilitated. We will, in addition, as our third element of our COVID recovery plan, we will strengthen the social safety net. We will expand access to childcare for working parents. First, with a pilot that provides subsidies to 28 daycare centers across Jamaica, and these subsidies will be accessible by working Jamaicans earning less than $1.5 million a year. This will enable working mothers, single mothers, to continue to work while ensuring that their children are provided for. This will ensure that single mothers who are at home and have the opportunity to re-enter the workforce do not have to choose between working and childcare. We will implement the most comprehensive reform of Social Security ever to be contemplated in Jamaica since the launch of the National Insurance Scheme in the 1960s. That Social Security reform will have the following components. We will implement policy initiatives to ensure that we have universal national insurance coverage. Today, National Insurance Scheme only covers approximately 30% of those in the workforce. Many of those in the more vulnerable categories of working people are, due to no fault of their own, excluded from national insurance. Our policy initiatives will ensure that during the course of our next term, we will achieve universal coverage in the National Insurance Scheme. And we will do so through a variety of measures, including a simplification of the process, an amalgamation of Social Security deductions to make it easier, and for categories of workers such as domestic workers who are often excluded from NIS, we will have procedures that allow for payment on more flexible terms and more flexible and convenient basis. Our comprehensive Social Security reform will also include the introduction of unemployment insurance. The destabilizing effect of becoming unemployment on the individual, on the family, on the community, and on the country is one that we have borne for far too long. We intend, during the course of this term, to ensure that unemployment insurance that provides stipends to those who have lost their jobs becomes a reality. Our reform of Social Security will also include the introduction of a social pension for the elderly who do not have access to NIS and who are in need and have no other source of income. This will be rolled out during the course of our next term. We will, in addition to that, continue the work that we've been doing in other areas of Social Security. Recovering stronger is going to require, as the fourth element, that we continue to manage the health aspects of this crisis in a forward-looking and comprehensive and decisive fashion. In addition, we will invest in our health infrastructure by upgrading our laboratories and working in partnership with our private laboratories and upgrading our surveillance systems. In addition to that, we'll be upgrading 110 health facilities across Jamaica, increasing their capacity to respond to this crisis and to other health emergencies. We will be engaged in major upgrades to our hospitals in Spanish Town, in Maypen, in St. Anne's Bay, in addition to the Bustamante Children's Hospital and the University Hospital of the West Indies, where a 6th floor new facility will be built in our next term. In addition to that, the 220-bed, 6-story Western Children's Hospital that will provide first-in-class pediatric care and be accessible to all those who live in Western Jamaica will become a reality in our next term. We'll be investing in technology that will allow for health information management systems that provide seamless service to all citizens and to all Jamaicans. Recovering Stronger will ensure for our sixth element that we invest in education and we improve education outcomes. We will be allocating more resources as a proportion of the budget to early childhood education and to the National Parenting Support Commission. In our next term, we will completely abolish the shift system in public schools. In our next term, we will eradicate the digital divide by providing 100,000 tablets to children and teachers, increasing the tablets in school program that is already in place. We will be ensuring that schools have access, public schools have access to broadband, again as a part of bridging that digital divide. In our next term, we will be implementing and making a reality 6 science, technology, engineering, and mathematics schools to further enrich children towards a path, towards a career in STEM areas. We will be implementing a performance arts school, a performance arts high school, to further the careers or to further those who want to pursue a career in the performing arts. We will be bringing reforms to the Student Loan Bureau to increase access to tertiary education. We will be reducing the interest on student loans by 1%. We'll be extending the moratorium on student loan payments to the end of the current financial year. That is to the end of March 2021 for all those who are repaying student loans. In addition to that, for students who are graduating now, who normally would have a 6-month moratorium on beginning to pay their student loans, that would begin and would normally start repaying those loans in March of 2021, we are extending that moratorium from 6 months to 14 months. So students who are graduating now will not have to begin repaying their student loans until 2022. In addition to that, as far as students' loan is concerned, we will be abolishing the need for guarantors for persons applying who are in state care or transitioning from state care. We will reduce the guarantors required to students who are on the PATH program to 1. And that one guarantor is a guarantor that will just provide the service of being able to locate students once they graduate. We will, in addition to that, make it easier for student loans to be serviced by increasing the service points from 1 in partnership with other institutions across the country. We will be lengthening the repayment terms on student loans in certain categories of disciplines from 15 years to 25 years. By lengthening the repayment of the loan from 15 years to 25 years, we will achieve a reduction in the monthly student loan payments for the subject areas under consideration by as much as 20, 30, or even in some cases, 40%. As far as our the seventh component of our recovery plan, we will accelerate the digital agenda. Accelerating the digital agenda will be crucial to ensure that Jamaica can recover stronger, increasing the productivity and competitiveness of our society. Towards that end, we will implement policies that ensure universal access, universal availability of broadband services, starting in rural areas. We will ensure that all town centers across Jamaica, in urban and rural areas, are equipped with Wi-Fi that is free to access. We will provide tax credits for small and medium-sized businesses who invest in e-commerce modules and online modules. We will accelerate the implementation of the National Identification System, and we will bring public services online. All major public services that require applications will be accessible online. Every single public service where you have to apply for something, that application will be able to be fulfilled online as we bring government online in advancing the digital agenda. Under education, something that I mentioned that I missed, is we will be introducing a tax-free savings account for families who are saving towards the tuition for their children. And that is to ensure that even during this period of recovery, parents continue to make positive decisions towards the tertiary education of their children. As far as the eighth element of our recovery plan, we will accelerate financial inclusion. To do so, we will support the central bank and we will accelerate the rollout of low Know Your Customer, low KYC tiered accounts that will greatly multiply the access to bank accounts that the population has. We will also support the central bank in the rollout of a national digital payment platform, which will bring digital payments and the ability to transact to all communities and all corners of Jamaica, increasing the productivity of our society and allowing us to recover stronger. We will, along the lines of financial inclusion, we will be introducing legislation that provides consumer protection in financial services, requiring full disclosure on the part of financial institutions on the terms of their products, on the fees that are involved in those products, and giving the authorities the ability to apply sanctions, including fines or restitution, in the event of a breach of those terms. Our ninth recovery, the plank of our recovery plan, will be to improve the business environment and to diversify our economy. Improving the business environment will require reforming customs, which we are committed to doing, repealing and replacing the Customs Act. We will be implementing a GOJ land bank where all land that's available for investment by way of sale or lease is made available to the people of Jamaica, to local investors and foreign investors who can view, and therefore that would accelerate decision making. We'll implement a national business portal where all essential business to government services are available online for companies, and we will and as far as diversification of our economy is concerned, we will provide and support diversification into coding, into logistics, into fulfillment, into animation. We will mobilize private sector investment, and I believe that's the ninth one. We will mobilize private sector investment. During a time of recovery, when government revenues may take time to recover, we will continue to accelerate the improvement in public services by mobilizing private sector investments in in public-private partnerships. Under this administration, Jamaica is ranked #1 in Latin America for the institutional framework that we have achieved in public-private partnerships. We will leverage that to improve services in sanitation and sewerage, in water, in certain diagnostic services for the health department, and in waste management and garbage collection, using public-private partnerships. We will list state-owned enterprises on the Jamaica Stock Exchange. And these include, as we had mentioned before, the Jamaica Public Service Company, the Jamaica Mortgage Bank, Jamalco, and certain assets and companies owned by the UDC and by the Factories Corporation of Jamaica. And we will be providing tax credits to companies that invest in research and development. And for our final the final plank of our recovery plan is we will make land and housing more accessible to all Jamaicans. Under a Jamaica Labour Party administration, we will catalyze 70,000 affordable home housing starts, of which 30,000 will be available to civil servants, to police, to nurses, and to teachers. And 10,000 will be available to young people under the age of 35. And for young people under the age of 35, accessing those 10,000 affordable homes, we, through the NHT, will be providing 100% financing. There's no need to rent. We will be providing 100% financing. There's no deposit requirement for the 10,000 affordable homes that will be reserved for young people under the age of 35. We have delivered on a 250% increase in the supply of NHT housing starts during the course of these 4 years, and we will simply continue in that vein in the next term and make those homes available to young persons, to public sector workers, and to all other contributors of the NHT. In addition to that, we will be leveraging the advance in legislation that we have achieved in making land titling easier, and by so doing, we will be providing 30,000 land titles to the people of Jamaica. And by so doing, we will end the inequity that exists where persons who have legal claim to title are prevented from leveraging the economic benefit that comes from finalizing their title, finalizing the titles that they legitimately should have access to. 30,000 titles and 70,000 affordable homes. Together, those were 10 points. If you consider them properly, I might have gone ahead in saying 9 when it was really 8, but in all, those are 10 points that are the centerpiece of our manifesto because they deal with the conditions that we find ourselves in today. These are 10 recovery points that will lead Jamaica to a strong and quick recovery. And the people of Jamaica are looking for a government who they can trust to lead Jamaica through what is the worst health and economic crisis in our lifetimes to a strong, stable, and quick recovery. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Good morning, everyone. Thank you very much for joining us here today, and thank you for your impatience in receiving the manifesto. Yes, impatience. I know you were all looking forward to it yesterday, and we are, again, so appreciative of the interest that you have paid in our plans for a stronger Jamaica. I want to also thank the Honourable Andrew Holness for being with us this morning. Thank you, Prime Minister. We know you're on the job. We heard you at the press conference yesterday, and we know every day you fight to make sure that Jamaica will recover stronger. And I know our workers on the front line continue to appreciate your deep engagement and commitment to supporting their efforts in the field. I want to thank the members of the Manifesto Committee, and thank you, Prime Minister, for giving me the privilege of chairing. I want to thank Minister Clark, who you have heard is a safe pair of hands, a safe mind, who has given the most thoughtful consideration to what is needed across the board on the side of the economy and on the side of the people for our most swift recovery. I want to thank our principal consultant, Professor Lloyd Waller, who really was just a great quarterback for the team in ensuring that we had the best academic support for the work and the vision of our ministers of government, who also contributed significantly, sharing their visions, sharing their plans for a stronger Jamaica. You've heard from Minister Clark a large segment of what is to be done from the economic perspective of things. In building a stronger economy, in diversifying both in agriculture, innovation, and providing all of the supporting infrastructure and services in between. We also have provided very much for a stronger society. So in our manifesto, beyond the 10-point plan, beyond the achievements, and beyond the broad vision that we share, we have also shared sector-specific plans, which range from agricultural management and transformation, where we not only speak of the $3 billion plan for agricultural transformation and fisheries transformation, but we also speak about our transformation of tourism to ensure that it's diversified, to spend more time and energy on community tourism. There'll be a new community tourism unit established in the ministry that will ensure that we have consistent support provided at the local level, so our gastronomy, that's our food, our energies, our creative and innovative spirits can manifest themselves in ways that the average Jamaican can contribute and can earn from tourism. There's a broad spectrum of activities being taken to make sure that more of the tourism dollar remains in Jamaica, so we invite you to read that section. We've also, in speaking about building a stronger society, spoken in great detail about how to transform education. You would know that the Prime Minister has established the Transformation of Education Commission, headed by Professor Orlando Patterson and an incredible team of professionals. We are awaiting that report in March, so we're working in a context of anticipating broad-based reform. But we're also focused on clarity around empowering our teachers to do their best job possible. We've not only advanced and expanded the training available to our teachers and to our school leaders, but we're also providing them with 25,000 tablets, which have already been procured, and 100,000 tablets for our students. We will continue to expand broadband to provide the universal access of which Prime Minister and Minister Clark spoke, because of course we have to close the digital divide. We have to ensure that in a COVID and post-COVID environment, we are able to have a blended approach to education that allows our rural and vulnerable urban communities that have traditionally had less access to technology, that they are enabled through technology. This will mean providing free internet to all 300 community access points across Jamaica, in addition to the town centers and, of course, our schools. It will be important to use technology to transform the way we do things, not only in school, but how we provide business, how we provide services. And we will be ensuring that our young people are able to take advantage of these opportunities. And we'll be creating opportunities. So we'll be providing incubator space for young entrepreneurs, for animation, creative industries, technology-based industries, and anything that you come to the fore with a strong value add proposition. So we'll ensure that not only do you have the space, but we'll be providing grants through our Youth Entrepreneurship and Technology Incubator Program, where JAMPRO and the JBDC will provide business support and guidance for young people with great ideas, but who need guidance and support to bring them to fruition. We'll also be supporting young people who want to get into agriculture, those who love organic farming and aquaculture, and climate-smart technologies that will not only be good for the environment, but be great business ideas. So we'll be providing grant funding for persons 18 to 35 in agriculture, fisheries, aquaculture, and of course, general management and transformation, ensuring that all our young people, regardless of your aspiration, are empowered. We'll also be providing a sport incubator program for young people with incredible sporting or athletic ability, but who may not have matriculated with the type of grades to allow them to access the scholarships that many rely on to take their careers to the next level. The ministry responsible for sports will be creating an incubator program to ensure that they're supported in being their best and most winning self. We'll also be working to ensure that community sports and schools sports programs are able to work together, not only for growth and transition, but also to work with our less resourced schools to ensure that communities have a base to develop the incredible ability that our children have and bringing it to the fore. We will be promoting our heritage. We will be not only focusing on city tourism and community tourism, but heritage tourism and heritage activities to promote and memorialize and monumentalize our great Jamaicans. You know we've started already with wonderful Miss Lou and Miss Lou Square and monuments to our sporting heroes and heroines. But we will be going further, and I won't preempt the specific announcements. We'll be ensuring that local communities benefit from our increased global inscription of Jamaica's heritage. We won't stop at reggae, we won't stop at Blue Mountains. We're going for Kumina. We're going for, I'm not going to preempt, read the manifesto. We're also taking local and global action in respect of climate change, and you'll hear us talk more about the green and blue economies. We are developing a national green economy investment strategy to leverage opportunities and locate opportunities for investment in clean, green, and smart enterprise. In respect of the blue economy, we'll not only be developing a strategy, but seeking to correct and build the institutional mechanisms that we need to leverage what are great global opportunities that are available for Jamaica to now harness. We'll get it done by making sure we have the best tools in place to access. We're also, of course, looking very much at ensuring that our families are stronger. For a stronger society, you need stronger families. You heard Minister speak about giving greater support to the Parenting Support Commission and to a pilot program with 28 daycares. We will also be supporting our Brain Builder Centers across all 63 constituencies. They support the early childhood institutions by ensuring that babies are given the best care, and they're guided by the science developed within the Early Childhood Commission. We'll also be broadening the scope of the Parenting Support Commission to give that broader sense in communities, in servicing our communities with greater guidance for our young fathers and our first-time mothers about positive parenting, about making sure that our children feel a sense of belonging. This is how we'll make sure they don't feel that they need to belong to a gang. We want them to belong to the Jamaican family. And in order to do that, we have to build stronger families. So we will be giving more support, more community support, and expanding our programs in that regard. We'll also be working with our men and women to make sure society is more balanced. You may have heard me speaking about that in our 2016 election campaign. We are still working for a balanced society. So not only will we be upgrading the Gender Advisory Council to a gender commission, but we will also be upgrading the Bureau of Gender Affairs to a full-blown commission. It will be given the tools to ensure that it implements our national policy on gender equality, that it drives the implementation of our strategic action plan to end gender-based violence, and will ensure that actions like our complete repeal and replacement of the Domestic Violence Act to protect our women who are in violent situations and ensure that they're able to also protect their children, but it will broaden the scope of programs that ensure that both our men and boys and our women and girls are able to work together in balance. In protecting our women, you will have heard Minister Grange speak about our shelters. Since 1984, there has only been one shelter for women run by an NGO, even if it does receive some subsidies from government. For the first time ever, we will have 3 national shelters for women victims of domestic violence. They will be child-friendly because we know that one of the first decisions that a woman has to make is, can she still protect her children? They will have counseling services provided to ensure that they're able to rebuild their confidence and re-enter the workforce and their general lives more powerfully and more and in a stronger sense of self. They will also have resources for training where skills are required for them to transition to their newly empowered lives. The first shelter is going to be open shortly, and the second 2 have been purchased but are at different stages of renovation. This is something of which we're extremely proud, and it is, again, action on prosperity. Action. That is what we defend. I want to just make the point that we'll also be looking at clean energy and ensuring, of course, that health and wellness is preserved. We are looking at stronger delivery of equal rights and justice. We remain committed to the establishment of a Human Rights Commission. That was in our 2016 manifesto, and we did not get that done, but we are committed to it. It requires an expansion of the role of the public defender and some other adjustments that need to be made to the legal framework, but it is still part of a vision that we will implement in this term. We will expand using alternative dispute resolution mechanisms and restorative justice, as well as implement our child diversion framework. We have already established 13 child diversion offices across the island with 13 child diversion committees to support children who come into contact with the law, to ensure they're put on a better path to a more positive future with mentorship, guidance, and training. And that's just literally a taste. I'm not going into ensuring that we change the law to allow for retired judges to come and work contractually to address programs like the backlog. And we will be rolling out more renovations to courts across the island to make sure that the persons can access justice in comfort and dignity. We'll be increasing our mobile justice vehicles so that they can go and deliver access to legal advice in communities. We now have some, we have expanded them already, but we will be adding more to make sure you get justice where you are. I could go on because there is so much and so much to be proud of in a pragmatic yet visionary approach to a stronger Jamaica. So we invite you to visit our website, JamaicaLabourParty.com. Have a read of the manifesto. It is the manifesto of the stronger team, and it does project the path to a stronger future. You can have a look at our achievements, which we've shared, but also the summary. And when your summary is 3 pages, you know you've done a lot. So again, I want to thank the team that worked on this manifesto. We very much look forward to your comments, to your questions. I cannot believe, Prime Minister, that I forgot to speak about Portmore. Portmore will be our 15th parish. This was a vision shared by former Prime Minister Golding, and it had not come to fruition. We are renewing that vision to ensure that Portmore, with its young, vibrant population, will have the opportunity to have its own municipal corporation so that it can collect its own property taxes and determine its own development plan to ensure that it can be all that the citizens of Portmore want it to be. We will also be creating the Portmore Tech City Park, again, leveraging the great youthful, trained and trainable population that already exists, great internet connectivity, and already existing technology and BPO services. We'll be expanding and growing beyond BPO to global support services and ensuring that we are in fact able to develop greater opportunities in animation, in accounting, in back-end legal support, so that all our new graduates will be able to find employment offering services that we export, but right from Portmore. We look forward to doing that. I also want to mention 2 very important sectors of our population: our elderly, who will not only be addressed through the new social pension spoken to by Minister Clark, as well as our most vulnerable elderly, who of course will be addressed by the indigent housing and infirmary renovations being pursued by Minister Mackenzie. But persons living with disabilities, who have continued to benefit from economic grants, economic support, as well as assisted aid grants and empowerment training. We will expand the training available not only to persons with disabilities, but to caregivers, so that we have a greater pool of quality care and assistance. We will also be expanding the pool of economic empowerment programs. We will be implementing the Disabilities Act, creating the Jamaica Council of Persons with Disabilities as its own statutory agency, empowered to deliver, working with the National Gender Commission on the new program for enhancing employment of persons with disabilities. They're already driving the program, but we will be able to deliver in our second term. So we ask for the privilege to continue to work for you. On September 3rd, we ask for your vote. And in so doing, we give you all the information to assess us and to take that decision, our achievements and our vision. We ask you to join us, Jamaica, in continued partnership for a stronger Jamaica, because we know that together we will recover stronger. Thank you for listening. And please, JamaicaLabourParty.com, read our manifesto. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Kamina. A stronger manifesto, a stronger team, a strong leader, stronger together, recovering stronger. I thank you so much for your time and patience and understanding. And I said earlier that we would be taking questions, but to allow you, the media, more time to examine the plans we have unveiled this morning, we will take questions at a press conference that we will schedule for tomorrow at 3:30. As you know, the debates begin this evening, and we are preparing for those debates. Kamina, Floyd Green, and Christopherton will be Team JLP. We have a scheduled walkthrough for 11 a.m. and we want to be on time. And so I'm asking you to take the time, go through our manifesto, the stronger manifesto, and we will be ready to receive all your questions, take all your questions tomorrow at 3:30 p.m. virtually. I thank you so much. God bless you all. See you tomorrow.
The world's in a crisis. The pandemic locked us all into a corner. Yeah, but we have a strong leader, and the team will help us carry on now. Look all over the world, schools are on lockdown, borders closed, businesses shut down. Andrew Holness, no one never back down. Put Jamaica up on top now, yeah. Let's give thanks to the workers, health and security persons.
Darkest hours we face, but in God we put our faith.
We can do it together, together. Stay unified, and I know things will be better, better.
With Andrew Holness as our leader, we do it
Together, together. Stay on this path, and I know things will be better, better. Stay on this path, and I know things will be better.
The proceeding